Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This will be a very special episode in which I want to tell you about my likes and dislikes of Ukraine. I'm an expat here in Odessa for the last 1 year and a half. Before this, I have traveled and lived in other countries. I stayed in Delhi, India for 1 year, 1 year and a half in Guangzhou, China, and then almost 2 years in the US getting my education. The right amount of exposure that would help me compare Ukraine to other countries, other cultures, and other ways of life. This video will be very useful for people who are thinking of moving to the Ukraine or maybe are passionate about life in Eastern Europe or the Ukraine and want to learn more. But also I think for local people who want to get another perspective from somebody who is an expat. The first thing that strikes you is that people on the street don't smile at you. They seem very shy, very introverted, and sometimes even sad and disappointed in life. And that is such a stark difference between people in the US when everybody's smiling at you and people in Ukraine where they really don't care. And this, I think, goes back to the culture where in Ukraine we reserve our smiles only for the closest people to us, to family, friends, our partner, and we don't waste resources on people that we don't know. The second explanation is Eastern Europeans care a lot about sincerity. I was watching recently an episode of Little America, a show produced by Apple, and there was a Russian immigrant who said, only in America people smile at you without meaning it. So the fact that we smile means that we mean it, and if you don't mean to smile, if you're not predisposed to the person, if you don't like the person, we will not smile because we believe that is something similar to lying. And Ukrainians really don't like to lie. They are pretty honest and I think open people in that extent. There is even a saying in Russian, "Смех без причины признак дурачины," which translates roughly to, if you're smiling without any reason, it means you're an idiot. I don't know any other country who has a similar saying. If you do, leave your guesses in the comments. I would be really curious to find out about any other cultures that have sayings similar to this. But I think it really illustrates the culture that we have here. If you ask me, I do prefer when people smile on the street, but that only happened after I spent 2 years in the US and I saw all the benefits of walking on the street with a lot of people smiling because it really gives you a more positive vibe. That's why I understand that a lot of foreigners, when they go on the street for the first time here, they think that people treat them with hostility or they don't like foreigners, but it's very far away from the truth because people don't smile at you just because they don't consider it to be something important in society. The second point, which is kind of connected to the previous one, is that service in the Ukraine sucks. I know I'll get a lot of hate about this comment, but it's true. If you compare it again to service in the US, and I think even to service in China and in India, people here sometimes seem very disinterested in you spending money in that shop or in that restaurant. For example, I have a small convenience store on the first level of my building, and the owner also works in the shop, and she treats me with this impassionate face. She doesn't smile at me, doesn't almost talk to me, just shoves all the products in a bag and doesn't even say goodbye. And this sort of attitude almost makes me think that she doesn't want me spending money in her shop. I just annoy her as a customer. This type of attitude you often get from people working in government entities like the postal office, or sometimes in restaurants that are located out of touristic places. People, really treat you rudely sometimes in the service sector. This is slowly changing, so if you go to the city center or in touristic places, like Odessa is a big touristic place, you'll find a lot of shops and restaurants where people are treated really nicely. The customers are always first. You always get pleasant smiles and help, and this is really encouraging. But you will no doubt deal with situations when you are treated in the worst manner possible when you are the one spending your money somewhere. So just be prepared for it. And hopefully service industry will really up their game in time. Number 3 is the dating scene. So for my single and ready to mingle viewers, this would be a very interesting point. And although I am married, I have observed people who have been dating in different countries, and I think there's a very distinct culture of dating in the Ukraine that I think I mostly prefer to the American way, and I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. In the US, from the friends that were dating at the time, I found out that there's really this culture of hookups. You meet somebody on Tinder, you go for a date, you have sex one time and like never call them back, or they never call you back, or you meet multiple times just for sex, and it's very difficult to define your relationship. People don't really have discussions about the status of their relationship. Or you could be dating a couple people at the same time, and this is viewed like something normal because you want to test different options between committing to a single option. In the Ukraine, it's not like that. Although people are sexually liberal and they also use Tinder or other dating websites, I think number one, they give other people more chances. If the first date didn't go really well, they can still go on a second or third date just to see if maybe the person didn't open up enough and maybe they really have something to offer. And I think this is such a good mind frame, because somebody might be shy and might not always impress you from the first time. Secondly, loyalty is a very big thing here. You almost never date people in parallel, and even if you do, you're considered a bad person. You give somebody a chance, you date with them. If it doesn't work, you end the relationship and you move to the next option. Americans are really about optimizing their chances to find the best partner, and Eastern Europeans are about loyalty and trying to build a lasting relationship with what you have. Nobody frowns upon a person having multiple partners before marriage. I would not say that you would brag about it in front of your husband-to-be. But it's not something that people are ashamed of or try to hide as much as possible. That being said, people do start dating early. They stay with the same person for a longer time, and they tend to marry earlier and maybe not have as many partners as people have in the US or maybe in the Western country. Oh, and by the way, if you go on a date and you're the man, then you're supposed to pay. Sorry. Number 4 is food in the Ukraine. Now, what I hear from a lot of foreigners is that food in Ukraine is very bland, it lacks spices, and it's true, but it's still very delicious. And the thing is that countries like Thailand or India or China, and even in the US, you have a lot of dishes that are super spicy, and people love the combination of spices and the unique flavor that the spices create. And in Eastern Europe, and I think in Europe generally, we prefer to feel the authentic taste of the food, not of the spices. What I mean by that, if you're frying or you're preparing a piece of meat, you want to taste the taste of the meat, the unique flavor of the meat, not the spice. That being said, when I need a little bit of kick and hit in my life, I do go to my favorite Chinese restaurant. The review is here if you want to check it out. It's really amazing. No matter what you think about cuisine in the Ukraine, the sweets are absolutely amazing. We have everything from croissants to macarons to different types of pastries and cakes, and you don't need a special occasion to savor cake. People actually can get cake every week for no reason, just because they enjoy eating something sweet or any kind of candies. And I think I enjoy this food culture a little bit more than the diet culture that I observed in the US. Obviously, it's a generalization, everybody is like that. But when you're going with somebody to a restaurant, it was really strange to me that somebody would only get a salad consisting of lettuce leaves with no side dishes, no oil, no salt. This is basically a tasteless dish. I think people in the Ukraine also watch their weight, and they're very careful about looking good and be presentable, but they also want to enjoy the things that they eat, not only look beautiful. Number 5, and this is the last one, is the way that you look and present yourself to the world. Ukrainians care a lot about this. I remember I was a kid and I was living in Moldova, and my mom always used to tell me, even if I went to the supermarket, which was 5 minutes away, to get a package of milk, she's like, you have to dress nicely, you have to comb your hair. When I was growing up, she's like, you have to put a little bit of makeup. So the way that you present yourself to society is always nice and is always neat. And this is a big difference from how people dress in the US and in Western countries. If you want to blend in, I would recommend to take a little bit more extra care about the clothes that you put, not only that they're clean, but also they're ironed and presentable and there are no threads hanging. This is really important for people in the Ukraine. Sometimes I do get the impression that Ukrainians overkill it, especially if you go clubbing. You will see all these ladies made up with, very opulent eyes and with a hairdo and with very provocative clothes. Also, people here, I think, like exposing sometimes logos. So it's something from Armani or Gucci. They definitely want you to see that it's Armani or Gucci. And I believe that's a little bit bad taste. So that was it. I'm sure there are many more topics that I could be talking about, but the time was short. So if you'd like to hear more about how I got a job in the Ukraine, what is the document process associated with getting a work permit, or general life topics that you're interested in, from weather in the Ukraine to transportation, definitely leave a comment down below and let me know what you want to find out. Also, I have many more other videos about my lifestyle in Ukraine, so do check them out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.